Hello again, I am Jim Bob and welcome back to City Skylines Mass Transit and our JBPG City. And as you can see, I've been busy drawing in some extra road lines. I'm not quite sure what's going on with the water here. I did manually trigger a tsunami because I wanted to test something. So this may be the after effects of the water draining away again. In the sort of time between episodes, I manually triggered a tsunami just so I could see how my modifications that I've made to the city would cope, kind of a stress test kind of thing, just to see what sort of defences I would need to think about adding in, and actually it coped really, really well. So yeah, I'm guessing this is just an after effect of that water draining away. You can see it's very high at that end of the river. And as we come down here, it's kind of settled down again. It's still quite high, higher than usual around here. So I think it is that water draining away from the end. There you can see there's that raise in water that's kind of just moving back that way. I think that's probably what that is. And it's moving downhill, as you can see. It's moving downstream. So the big changes. Obviously, the major one is I've reworked this little area a bit more. Changed things around a little bit. I've also started adding in a lot of extra roads. I brought the tunnel out over here and connected up to this big roundabout here, and I've deliberately left this bit blank like this because this is going to feed off into this part of the city. It'll also become a major freeway there, and then at some point we'll connect with the freeway from there. There'll be probably an offshoot that will come off and across the river and join up with this, and there'll be a merging. And the other big change is our water processing plant. You'll have seen this in the thumbnail. So what I've done is I've put two of these water drainage areas just here, and I've also put in some manual water storage tanks, so when we're producing an excess of water, it'll get stored in here, and then if we have a shortfall, we'll be able to take from that. So if there's ever any damage, like an earthquake damages my pipe network, hopefully, as long as I have multiple ways of connecting the pipes up, which is something we'll be doing in the future, is really having multiple pipes springing out from this point as opposed to just a single pipe at the moment, then that will then be able to distribute water around while we try and rebuild the network. So we don't have to keep pausing to rebuild everything. We can try and just keep time running. I've also got my sewage treatment area relocated from the river over to here, as you can see. Very, very severe, deliberately so at the moment with this sort of the rock facing just here. I may soften that off a bit, not quite sure yet. And then this feeds down into the storm drain, and you can see here this runs all the way down here. Again, deliberately high walls, and this is so that if we do suffer a tidal wave of some kind, we've got a drainage area, or we've got, you know, some defences, so we can actually have stuff alongside, along the sides of our water canal along here. And then this feeds out here into the city, into the sea as before. Still got our cranes and everything there. That hasn't changed. But yeah, we now have this nice sort of high flood wall area over here. And what I'm thinking of doing as well is, because I did do a test around the tsunami, and most of the water came up this area and got to here, and it kind of didn't really spill out that much until it got to this bit, and then it started to overflow a little bit, but it stayed contained around here, and only a little bit of water spilled out this way. And then we had a small bit of water sort of going up the river and just causing a little bit of damage along the sides, but nothing major. Certainly didn't destroy anything, just a few wet feet. And the vacuum trucks went out and sucked all that straight away. So what I'm thinking of doing is maybe having a channel coming off here into a large drainage area, like a deep pit, and then we'll have some pumps that'll then take any water from there and then just pump it back out into the sea, or back out here by the edge of the docks. Kind of thinking like an overflow system, so that if we do get too much water start coming down here, it'll go off into an overflow ditch and then sort of feed its way back into the ocean behind the wave and kind of deal with that issue. You know, we'll see how that goes. I don't want to over plan, you know, where everything's going to go until we've got, you know, more tiles unlocked. And then just to power this area, we've got 4 wind turbines here, and because they're nice on a nice raised area, they're getting good power, averaging 8 kilowatts each on those turbines. It looks really cool when it's all lit up at night as well, with the lights at the base of the fans there, and then the lighting around our water system just here. So we've got our mobile, we've got our sort of our main water treatment facility over here, where we've got our sewage, and these are the 4 pumps that were originally on the side of the river over here at the back of our industrial area. They did live just here, and I just relocated those. What I will eventually do as well probably is move the pumps and have another channel that comes over here, and then have pumps that feed off into that section over there, so that there's a direct link from the pumps straight to our water storage tanks. We'll see how that goes, but we may well put a sort of an indent into this this side here, and bring the pipes through and the pumps that way. Have another channel perhaps just for gathering water for pumping. We'll see how that goes. And then obviously these tanks here, they need to be roadside placed, so that's why we've got this road coming down here. And obviously these buildings here need to have a road access for the trucks. So that's why we have those like that. The road comes out like this, and then it splits off, so there's different access ways. So it can go out this way onto this part of the road network, and then join onto the main road here, and from there it's got access to the roundabout and the ring road around our districts. Or, you know, it can go through this way into the various areas where it needs to. Alternatively, it can also go this way up through to our disaster response unit, and then it's got access here again to the ring road just there, or across the river if it needs to go across the river. So it's got a few different access routes, and we'll probably change the road network a little bit as time progresses. I've also relocated our bunkers like this, and the other thing I did was, when I triggered the tsunami, I activated the shelters because I wanted to see how they worked. And basically, if you go in and you manually trigger... Oh, hang on, we've got some buildings without water here. Didn't realise that. Let's fix that problem. My guideline, there it is. There we go. So that should sort those water problems out straight away. Perfect. What I noticed was the buses were getting in each other's way as they were all trying to come out, because we had all 3 of those right next to each other. So I've spaced them out a bit, so there's a bit of space for the buses to move. Put them on this little one-way loop like this. And then we've got 2 access routes. We've got one that goes out that way, and then we've got another one that goes down this way and into our new expansion area over here. So there's 2 ways in and out of our sort of emergency shelter area, and there's space for another shelter to go in there as well, which we'll get round to at some point. And then this area is going to be sort of a mixture of office, I think, up here, and maybe a little bit of residential. Mainly, I think, office, maybe a little bit of commercial. We'll see. And then we've got a big residential block over here with a mixture of some office and commercial thrown in a few places. And then it comes around here, and what I've done is link up to the other side of our little station line there. So the road came up over here to the end of the station and stopped at that point, and all I've done is I've just looped it back round into this new expansion. So yeah, that's kind of what I've done. I've drawn all those extra roads in. What I also had to do was, my game actually crashed almost immediately after I finished recording. I didn't get the chance to save, so I've had to kind of remember what I did and go back in and change a few things. So I think I've kind of done everything. So Weenie Square has changed a little bit, just a little bit, in terms of some of the stuff that I've done. But the road, you know, going underneath is still there. I put that back in. I put this road back in and just changed it ever so slightly, just there. Relocated the emergency buildings just there, and I made a slight tweak, a slight change to this area, just a little bit. Again, this wasn't zoned in either. So I had to rezone all this and try and get all of that working. So pretty much everything that we did in the previous episode I had to redo again, and I think for the most part I think I've got everything, but I might have missed one or two little bits. So that's where we sit right now in terms of the changes that have been made and why they've been made. And there's nothing over here. You remember we put some high density residential in there. I decided not to bother putting that back in because I figured, we're building this new area. Let's concentrate on getting stuff in the new area. So we need to start putting in piping over here. Let's try and get this
The
light.
Forest Service has stated that there is a risk of an imminent forest fire in the area.
And
residents are
this is the other thing as well. Right after I finished the other episode, I got a big electrical storm. It's like I could have sworn I turned down our settings, and they are still raging. You can see we've got a forest fire breaking out now. I'll turn that down again. Knock it down even more. It's just never ending, these disasters. So even when you have them on low settings, obviously there is time between episodes when I start recording or stop recording and start the next recording. And apparently it's just, it's taking too long for me to get things done before the next disaster, sets in. So we're ending up getting them every single episode. So hopefully that'll help slow that process down a little bit. And if we end up going quite a while before the next one, then so be it. I don't think I'll mind that too much, given just how many we've had to deal with so far. It would be quite nice, I think, to have a few episodes without a disaster striking us. But luckily that's just a forest fire. It's also way out of the way, so it'll decimate that area a little bit, and then it'll all grow back in time. And it's nowhere near our city. So we can carry on doing what we're doing. Let's speed time back up. What was I doing? Oh yes, I was putting water piping in, wasn't I? Before my camera focus got taken away by the disaster. So let's build our water network over here. Like that. Let's get the next bit. Go. We'll do another one over here as well. Oh, and if you remember, a few episodes ago I said that, I had a pipe over here that looked a little bit wonky and I might have to take it out again. I think it was this pipe here, actually. As you can see, I did do that. I squared everything back up again, so there's no gap now. Whereas before we had a slight gap in our piping. There is that single connection that goes down here. What I decided to do was just to pump these two directly into this and this thin channel over here, because this is the overflow for when we have a lot of flood water to deal with. But I don't really think I need it there, so it's kind of just back up at the moment. You can see obviously it's not putting anything out. I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to turn that off. And we'll only turn it on once we start, because these have storage tanks, so you can see I've got plenty of storage. I don't know the exact amount, but I imagine I can hold quite a lot of water in there. It doesn't give us any more sort of detailed information as to exactly what we can store in there, unless it does it in here. Let's take a look. No, again, see, it doesn't say. Oh no, yeah, storage capacity 1 million cubic litres. Sorry, 1 million cubic meters of storage capacity in each of those. So plenty of storage space for water. We don't have to worry at all about those overflowing. We've got plenty of time, so we can just turn that on and off as and when we need to, just to sort of drain the storage that we have in those. Right, where else do we need to add water? Anywhere else? No, it looks like we've covered all of our new area. So let's start zoning some stuff in. Let's start with... Do I want to go with a bit of high density over here? I think we should. We've got these big blocks. Let's put some big high density residential in those blocks there. Around here. Actually, we'll just do it on those blocks in the middle like that, and then we'll try low density along the main road and see how that gets on. We can always upgrade the low density to high density if we need to. Actually, this will probably be a little bit quicker. Let's go to large tool and just paint it in. There we go. I need to put in some commercial. Just going to take these blocks out here for a second. Let's have a little run of shops along there. Actually, we'll do the same here, I think. We'll make this a little run of shops. There we go, and I'm deliberately keeping that low density. There we go. Got no power in this area just yet, but that'll zone in pretty quickly. We'll be able to start putting some offices in as well. Let's stick a little bit of office space up here. I'm keeping this little offshoot on this roundabout here just for emergency services if I need to put anything up there. Like that. Oh, speaking of roads, let's go to upgrade. There we go, it's all going the right way. Good stuff. And of course, put the grass verges in to stop people from parking on the roundabout, because you know it's going to happen. Okay, so where's our power need? So we need that to spawn in just there. And we have zoned that, haven't we? We have, we just got to wait for it to fill up. See, our little bit of commercial is starting to pop in. How's that forest fire getting on? It's burnt itself out. Let's start putting in some services and some parks and stuff to help bridge the gap a little bit as well. Small park perhaps on this corner. There we go, and that should immediately bridge the connection. And it does. Fantastic. I'm going to need some police and fire. And because these are high density areas, we're going to need big stuff. So let's stick police and fire in here. I was toying with the idea of putting a prison in up here off the roundabout. I don't know if I want to do that. It's going to affect the land value a little bit. You can see there's that orange ring that's going to affect land value. Yeah, we'll leave that somewhere else. We don't have one yet, but we'll get there. We'll get a prison. Right, there we go. So we have police and fire. They will provide coverage for our new district over here. And this will help us march on towards our next objective as well. Our next milestone is 50,000. We need 15,000 more people. And this area is definitely going to help with that. We're going to need some health. Where's our other hospital? I know we dropped a hospital in over there. Lots of little health centres, but no big hospital. I think a hospital over here, we've got good road access and also close to our disaster zone, might be a good idea. Let's stick the hospital there. It's going to be Hilltop Hospital from South Park. Let's get some more zoning done. Let's go high density just there. And hopefully that will bridge the gap along there. I'm going to drop in offices in here. like that. Maybe a little bit of commercial up there as well, actually. There we go. Another storm raging. Not a massive storm this time, just a storm. Getting a few worker shortages. Fire breaking out. I wonder if that's from the storm. Oh, there's something else I want to drop in as well. Now that we have disaster response and we have shelters, we need to get the warning out to people as quickly as we can. So we're going to place a radio mast. Now we've got this one here, which is massive, and you can see the coverage area. And I think if we sit this in this gap here, just there, A, it's a big feature, it looks pretty cool, and B, we just got this space that's not doing anything and isn't going to be used. Why not? So there we go, we have this massive radio mast now. And look at the wave of coverage as it sweeps through our city. And now, if we do have a disaster, we can broadcast a warning across the entire city to say, get to the shelters. A big fire breaking out again in our industrial park. Just over there. There was something else I was about to do and I can't remember what it was. Oh, we need education, don't we? Let's get some educational services in. So, we have a capacity, but it's, you know, with these people moving in here, it's not going to be enough. So we're going to need more. Where is our nearest set of schools? We've got one there, one there. We don't have any schools in this area. Okay. Let's put some schools over here, I think, perhaps. Maybe not. Maybe they would be better over here somewhere. Let's see, can I squeeze a... Yes, I can squeeze a primary school in there. Let's get a secondary, just there. Someone asked me, how do I recognise these buildings? How do I know instinctively where they are? Is it from memory, or do I... you know, do I just recognise the buildings? It's a bit of both, you know. I remember where I place things for the most part, but also when you've been using these buildings for, you know, as long as I have, you just instinctively recognise them. You get a rough idea of where you place things in your memory, and then you scroll down into the area where you place stuff, and then you immediately recognise the buildings that you've dropped in. So I mean, I can say that I know I've got a cemetery over here, and there it is. I know I've got another cemetery somewhere over here. And there it is. There's the cemetery. And there's another one over here. And it is there. There's the cemetery. So you know instinctively roughly the area where you put things down. And then you just remember, you know, what they look like. And it's a combination of both. That's how I know where things are. That's how I know when I'm saying, you know, I've got my police, my fire, and everything. It's a combination of memory and recognition. But if you do get stuck, you can always just refer to your menu. So you can see here, you know, we can get a good quick glimpse at our coverage, and we can see all of the high schools that we have placed through here. And then I can do the same with my elementary schools, and I can see where all of those are placed throughout my city. And it gives me a good idea of the kind of coverage of educated and uneducated citizens, where the hot spots are. So you can see here a lot of uneducated people in this area because it's just brand new. People are moving into this area. But we are starting to move into the area where we're going to be getting a lot more high density moving forward. And I may well, again, downgrade this to low density in the future and concentrate my high density a bit further down the city. But for now, this seems like a good place to put some high density stuff with a good road hub access just here. What else do we need to put in? We've got education for high school and elementary. Actually, what are my levels? So, elementary school capacity is 3,300, and I've just about got good coverage. You can see we have 2,800 people who are eligible for education, and we've got the capacity to hold those. If we look at the high school, well underneath capacity, we've got a capacity of 8,000, only 5,500 are eligible at the moment, so no problem there. At university, we only have the one, I think, or do we have two? Got a university there. Oh, it's a campus, isn't it? Oh, we can relocate that. Perhaps. No, we'll leave it there. It's just a campus. We'll leave that there. But what I might do is I might relocate that university. Replace that with a campus, or no, you know what? I kind of like that setup there. You can see there we've got a primary school there, we've got a high school just there, and then we've got a university just there, and a park to kind of, you know, frame the area. I kind of like that little setup like that. So we might add another university, but we're okay at the moment. We don't necessarily need to, but I do think a campus would be a good idea somewhere over here. Just to make it easier for these guys to get further education. So let's see, where can I put my my campus? You know what? I'm going to stick it here. Just there, I think. We'll stick a campus in there next to the hospital. And that way, you know, we've got a quick and easy route for some of these people to get some further education. Let's clear out these abandoned buildings. There we go. Big spike for residential again, as you can see. So let's start zoning in some more residential stuff. What's our population looking like at the moment? 37. That's not too bad. Let's just zone in these blocks here. What about over here? Yeah, let's put in a little bit of low density just over here as well on the run up to the roundabout. Kind of want to start getting some more industry in this area as well, in Sheffield Heights. I think though I'm going to make that possibly a lumber industry, even though there's not much in the way of trees there, simply because I want to kind of create that warehouse kind of feel. So let's go to specializations. Let's go to forest industry. Make, how big's the district? It's quite a big district. Okay, let's make this forest. Let's start zoning in some of this. So again, I'm just checking where my power setup is. Let's drop in some industry over here on this corner. There we go. And that should hopefully be close enough to these buildings to get power across there. Once it all starts spawning in. We've also got obviously these power lines that kind of run along here, which we can always redirect if we need to. We'll let this run, and hopefully what we're going to see is quite a lot of these kind of warehouses and lumber yards just popping up, and not many factories. We've got one there with a chimney that's popping in. But as long as there's not many, then the pollution in this area will be quite low, and it doesn't matter that they're going to be reasonably close to some, you know, buildings along here. It's not going to hopefully devalue the landscape too much. You can see lots and lots of these kind of lumber storage areas around here. And there we go. It's already powered in, look, that area. You can see it's just connected across the bridge to the back of our disaster response unit just there. Right. Still that big spike in residential demand. So let's try and get a bit more high density residential in. There's obviously a need for it. Let's make all of this around here high density as well. I want to try and drop in some parks, some more parks and rec stuff. Let's see what we've got. We've got a dog park. Just trying to find things that'll help boost the land value a little bit. I don't mind kind of breaking up some of this low density stuff to do that. Let's put a dog park on that corner there. And immediately that makes a big impact on leisure, as you can see. Need something over here as well. Let's see, where is the... There it is, the basketball courts. Let's get a couple of these in place if we can. I'm trying to find a place to spot these that isn't going to do much damage to high density and also allow us to get a couple side by side, perhaps. Like that. Now we've got good leisure over here. It's a bit poor over here still. We can probably do with something in that area. Definitely needs something in here in Sunset Park. Let's see, what other stuff can we drop in? We don't have a biodome yet, do we? I was thinking about putting a biodome in the middle of the roundabout. It won't go, unfortunately, but up here, though, near disaster response, obviously we need to keep that space there clear, because that's where the next shelter's going to go, but... Oh, we need this. We need something in here in Sunset Park, and something over here in Pearl Park as well. Again, I'm going to stick to my usual plan of putting plazas in office areas. Again, trying to find the right spot. Let's go there. Put a little plaza with trees in there. And that's had a big impact straight away. These are no longer red. We've got a bit of green spreading in around here as well. Can I get another one in? Now I can, and you can hear the pings straight away. Lots and lots of buildings upgrading now that they have access to better leisure facilities, which means more people in the area, bigger houses, more population. Always a good thing. You can see the money's quite low as well. It actually has been going back up at a nice little rate now, but I spent a lot of money doing the terraforming for this canal system over here. And it seems to be, I spent, a considerable amount of money, but it seems to be working and paying off in the long run. The other reason I want to really increase the population over here is, again, to make sure that we have workers. And because this is a low pollution area, it means I should be able to drop in residential around here, which already has a schools out policy, and provide a workforce here in the zone, in theory. Now, I may get some noise complaints, but we'll try it out and we'll see how it gets on. Let's see what kind of... it's just literally not enough workers. It's not a case of not enough educated workers, it's just not enough workers. So Pearl Park should have a schools out policy, I think. Yes, it does, you see. And so does Sheffield Heights. So hopefully this little block, and what we may possibly do as well is actually turn all of this into residential and then have the industry just running along there instead. That might be a better idea, actually. Let's try that. So let me rezone this. We can get the workforce to move into this area. And then they've got jobs on the doorstep, kind of thing. Block these bits in here. There we go. And then we can drop in our industry along here. That's a lot of industry. It's probably too much. Let's just take some of these bits out here. There we go. That's a bit more manageable, a bit more realistic, I think. And with the extra people going into Pearl Park, once we finish toying with that area, and then the people from Sheffield Heights as well, we should hopefully end up with a nice little workforce for this little industrial zone along here. So let's get back to upgrading this area. We need some other bits and bobs. We can always make Sunset Park a schools out district if we need to as well. Just looking to see what we have around nearby. Trying to do this without taking out too many houses. I think if I rework this part of the street. Bring it down at an angle like that. Yeah, I can drop a park in there without damaging these buildings here, all these buildings here, and then we can just rezone on the side. So we've got a little playground there for kiddies. There we go. A little bit of commercial in nearby for Sheffield Heights. Actually, I'll take those bits out. I don't want to get too much in because I'll take the workforce away from this zone here. Why is that? Got that gap there. It should be all one block. There we go. Now we've got stuff moving in. And this is what I wanted to see. Look, obviously we've got a smoky factory there, but this kind of warehouse district like this, where you've got all these just lumber buildings like this, because we can't get non-polluting choices of where of what goes in where. We kind of have to con the system a little bit, so we put lumber in without much lumber around, without a large amount of trees in the area, and as a result you just get a lot of factories like this that just have wood in and around. So we get a huge lumber area like this, but it's a non-polluting area. Let's get in. Actually, make that residential. We can put some commercial and offices in here, look. So we can go commercial, 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 commercial along there. Not a lot, but a little bit. And just put a couple of offices in just there as well. There we go. And then we'll run some, housing along there, like that. I'm just going to deselect that block, like that. There we go. And obviously that block there. Those offices are on the on that piece there, so we'll just de-zone those. I think. There we go. So our expansion's really started to come on. We've just topped 40,000 people, but we're making some progress. We still have plenty of space to play about with over here, and buildings that are leveling up, which means they're getting bigger, making space for more people are being born, more people are moving in. So our city's going to continue to just expand and grow, which is good. And we've got space over here to play about with as well, as you can see. A little bit of office space here and some commercial space popping up over there. See, that's also unfortunately the problem when you have zoning that goes right up to the very edge. We might have to de-zone these ever so slightly because of that slope like that. Buildings are overlapping. Yeah, let me take... take that off like that. Hopefully that'll just reshape these a little bit better and they won't spill over the back. Wait for this one to zone back in. Don't need that there. Yeah, that building looks better now. It's not spilling over the back of this this rock face here. Just need this one to pop in now and complete the lineup. There we go. And again, not spilling over the back. So that's another thing. Don't always feel as though you have to fully zone a block. If you've got a space where you can get 4 blocks in to get a big size building, don't feel that you have to have that there. There's nothing wrong with having some slightly smaller, you know, width zonings, you know, going back, you know, not quite as far. You know, it's all about, I think, you know, managing the aesthetic of the city at the same time as managing the, you know, the actual space of the city. That's why I don't have any high density of any real notes over here. It's all about managing the kind of aesthetic, and you've got a few built-up areas where we've got, you know, a little bit of commercial in here. Got some offices over here that are quite big. I'm going to downsize some of these actually, because they are a bit too big. So we're going to go into this district here. We're going to go into city planning. I think it's city planning. Yeah, here we go. High-rise ban. So that just stops buildings from getting too tall, because they do dominate the landscape. So you'll see they'll disappear and they'll have to start rebuilding and coming back in. And they'll get to a certain height and they'll stop. And we'll do the same in broad heights as well. So we'll apply the high-rise ban. And we've got a couple of buildings that are going to disappear. But it'll help manage the aesthetic a bit. And then we need to do the same over here as well in Myrtle Hills. Just put a high-rise ban in there. Because, you know, those few buildings there that just tower above everything else here just makes it look a little bit off. When you've got massive, great big skyscrapers surrounded by low-density residential and commercial. They are a bit too excessive. So we'll put the high-rise ban in. They'll still grow. They'll still end up being tall. A lot taller than the surrounding buildings. But hopefully no taller than that. And that we can kind of live with. So you can see there. That's kind of the height I think that they'll end up staying at. Somewhere around that height. Nothing over the top excessive. This industry needs to bed in a little bit while we're waiting for workers to finish moving in over here. Let's see if we can boost this area slightly. Let's try and find a good spot for a park of some kind. That's way too big. A small one over here perhaps? Or is this a playground? That's a large playground. Let's try a small park. Yeah, we'll plonk a small park just there, and that'll benefit, you know, Sheffield Heights and the edge of this little bit just here. I don't think that's zoned, is it? No, it's not. So let's make that part of Sheffield Heights as well. There we go. Just tidy that edge up a little bit. So there's going to be teething areas in this area while the population readjusts. So I'm not worried about these businesses failing at the moment, because after a while they will settle down. We do still have a demand for more residential. Let's see if we can zone in a bit more of that. Just there, perhaps, maybe. I'm not sure if I want to have... No, I don't want to have houses next to our disaster response. I might put offices in there if I need to put something in there. Why is that square not fill? There we go. Let's have a quick zoom back over here. And there you can see the difference, look. Some of these offices haven't respawned yet, but the ones that have come in, they're at a lower level. There's a lot less of a demand at the moment as well, so this will gradually improve over time, but it looks very different now over here. No huge, great big skyscrapers dominating the area, which is the way it should be. More residential needed. Plonk a little block there. Fill in those little bits. Potentially a little worried about the noise from the tunnel here, but again, we've got soundboards. Hopefully that'll be okay. Not sure what I want to do along here yet. Let's plonk in some more low density here. Like that. Immediately, because of that demand that we have, you can see buildings are starting to spring up in this area. I do love watching these buildings just popping up like that. It looks awesome. How are these businesses doing at the moment? No available jobs. No available jobs. 11 jobs available there. Oh, not enough workers. 10 there. But you can see we've got quite a lot of these buildings now are starting to... these ones here have got lots of available jobs. That one's full. So a lot of these buildings are starting to, you know, fill their workforce, which is good. There'll be, as I say, some teething areas that need to be kind of just tweaked a little bit, but so far working pretty well, I think. And we can always have some residential along here that can come across the river if we need to as well. So our city is definitely coming along, and I think it's time, because we are running out of time, it's time for us to add in the next subscriber requests. So I've earmarked the next ones to do. Michael Dennis wanted a park name. Well, I'm just trying to see if I've got a big park. We've got this one over here in Sunnyside Heights. Let's make that Dennis Park. Can I rename this? Yes, I can. Park with trees. And I finally dug out my batteries. There we go. So we have Dennis Park there. Now, again, it's never going to be seen unless we physically come and click on the park. But you have your own park, so you know, if you're happy with that, Michael, let me know. If you'd like something else instead, again, let me know in the comments, and we'll sort something out as a replacement for the park. JBSBT 8181 has asked for a road name. Let's see. We've got plenty of roads to choose from. From now on as well, if you have a preference as to where you want your road to be, whether you want it to be a residential road, a main road, you know, commercial road, industry road, put that in your request as well, because we've got so many random roads that we could just pick. I mean, I could, just make this one little curvy, tiny piece of road here, a subscriber name, and then we'd probably never see it again. So that would be a bit kind of thing to do. But if you do want a road name, try and be a little bit more specific than just saying road name, because I won't know where to put it, and we won't know where to focus on it. So let's see, we've got a couple of custom names over here. We've got RJS Island, we've got Lloyd Lane, we've got Egbert Road. Let's try and keep that going a little bit. Let's make this road here. We've got Smith Street. Let's make that BT Street. There we go. So for JBS BT8181, there you go, BT Street. And then last but not least, Dylan has asked for a district and has asked for Murphyville. So where shall I give you a district? Let's give you Sheffield Heights. So I need to go to districts, rename, oh, no, that's policies, rename this. And there we go, we have Murphy, oh, that was Murphyville, wasn't it? My mistake. I'll correct that. There we go, so we have Murphyville. They are the 3 subscriber names we're adding in this time. Don't forget, we'll add in 3 next time out and the time after that and so on and so forth. And we have a power shortage over in Moore Square. Why do we have a power shortage? Water's playing up again for some reason. Not quite sure why. Are we really demanding that much extra power? Apparently we are. I have 2 of these oil power plants over here, and on top of that I also have another one over here as well. Just where is it? Just there. So I have 3 of those oil power plants, plus all the power generated from our turbines and everything over here. That's just too much apparently. So okay, I need to think about this. It's a shame we don't have a power storage area, really. So one of the things I really liked about surviving Mars was you could put solar panels down, you could build this huge solar park, and then you could put batteries down and store power for when you needed it later. And now you see our consumption has gone right down because it's the evening, but come the daytime it'll go back up again. So maybe we do need a little bit more power production. We've got decent power predicted over here, but again you can see it's variable, it's not consistent. So we will have the same problem again. At some point we'll be generating power and then we won't be, or not to the same level. So let's throw in 5 of those. That's an extra 100 power. Is that going to be enough? I don't think it is. I'm going to throw in an extra 1. There we go. So that'll help us out with power, and then when it does spike we'll be able to deal with that. And you can see our demands are coming back up again as well. But that is where we leave it for today. So our city really is taking on a lot of shape. As you can see, the choppers on their way back from the docks over there. We do need to get our docks connected up at some point in the future as well. So there we go. That is the end of this episode. Thanks for watching. I am Jim Bob, and I'll be back with another episode of City Skylines Mass Transit on our JBPG City very soon.